Welcome to this episode of the Growthcast. It's me, Jackson Campbell, joined with my man, Dallas Pruitt, for another Saturday extended cut. Dallas, how you doing this morning?
Dude, I'm doing amazing. I got this in the mail. You were commenting on it earlier, and I found me a sick Yeti hat that's got just some like retro camo. I mean, those that watch this on YouTube, you understand that not Tyler, but Jackson and myself, we're hat guys. We really like hats. And every once in a while, when I have a little downtime, it's not a distraction. It's more of a passion. I'll Google like cool, different, weird hats, right? Like just unique hats. And I found this one floating around. And I remember the day I ordered, I came up to my office like, you're going to like my new hat. It's pretty sweet. So, I mean, dress good, feel good. I was already feeling good, but you get a nice new cap.
You're looking good.
It's great. So
you're looking good. Awesome, brother. Well, we're lucky to have you again for the Saturday extended cut. If it's your first time tuning into the Growthcast, welcome. We're super happy to have you here, and we're pumped that you're here listening. Just to give you a quick overview of the Growthcast, Monday through Thursday, Dallas Pruitt, he jumps on, gives about 5 to 7 minute daily drip on a mindset principle to help you start your day. Tune into those episodes. They're very, very, very good episodes and help you get your mindset right to start your day. I love those episodes, Dal. I haven't really told you this lately, but I love those episodes because it almost kickstarts my brain. It almost like, you know what I mean?
That's
like
one of the
purposes
behind it.
Turns on that engine and gets the growth mindset, going for the day to accomplish those early morning tasks that we don't always love.
Well, I've never told you this piece to add to that. Because those that don't know, and I don't know who we need to attribute this to, the music, the intro, the outro, your brother. Is that your brother? Is that you? I can't remember
that
where
one.
That came from.
No, the intro outros right now, I found those online and just bought those ones.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, either way, whoever created those online, thank you so much.
They're great.
But the people love it because there was a couple episodes that were edited, thrown out there a couple weeks ago. And I think that the intro was missing, and I had people reach out to me. There must be something about that tune as well, as far as like priming the mind and getting rolling on the day. Yeah. They were like, oh man, just so you know, the drip was missing the music today, and I really missed that. So there you go.
There you go. Now, so tune into those episodes, not only for the music, but the important mindset principles that Dallas teaches on those as well. Fridays, I sit down with Tyler Devereaux for our Aloha Friday episodes, where I'm able to sit down and interview Tyler on a real estate principle. We're always going to drop mindset in there because of the huge impact that mindset's played on both mine and Tyler's growth in life. And then Saturday, I get the opportunity to sit down and interview Dallas about a topic. We get to hear the things that he prepares throughout the week, but during these Saturday episodes, I get to pick his mind. Today, we're going to talk about something that pops up pretty common. It's pretty often something that pops up that we hear pretty often, not only from our student base, but just from people in general about imposter syndrome. So today we're going to talk about imposter syndrome. What is it? How can we overcome it? And really, really let's dissect imposter syndrome and how we can actually use that to benefit us. Dallas,
have you ever felt that?
Have I ever felt imposter syndrome? Absolutely. What about yourself?
Oh, dude. I mean, as you were saying, I was like racking my brain of like how many times I felt imposter syndrome.
Yeah. I feel often, man. Yeah. Often, dude. I think we said often at the same time. Feel all the time, dude. And it's one of those things that has a negative connotation around it, but I believe that that feeling of not feeling adequate is actually an amazing sign of growth, an amazing sign that you're headed in the right direction. I'm gonna flip it over to you, Dal. Let's talk. What's imposter syndrome? How do we overcome it? How can we benefit from
imposter syndrome is that feeling, that dreaded feeling you get when you just feel like you're not adequate enough for a job, or that you've been tasked to do something that like you're not the right person for that because you just don't know how to do that. Unqualified is a word that comes to mind. And it's super common. I've felt it numerous times. I feel almost every other day as a dad, so it's like, but it's definitely a tricky trap and a slippery slope when we buy into the false reality that we're an imposter, right? Like that's, I think, an important point here is like, it's a false reality that you're an imposter. And you even talked about that I was going to wait till we got closer to, wrapping this thing up, but you talked about that, like even just weeding that word, the false reality of that word out of your vocabulary. Yeah. It's like, there's nothing imposter about me. If I'm being realistic and I'm looking at like who I am and what I strive to do, what my values are, my work ethic, like there's nothing imposterous about me. Mm-hmm. I mean, or if there is, I quickly work to try to like correct that. Right. And so it's a funny word that we use. And it's a great title for this type of, trap, but I think weeding that word out and just changing your whole mentality about the approach you have in doing something that you've never done before. I want to talk about that because I subscribe to a bunch of different, I think this is a cool actionable. I subscribe to a bunch of different newsletters from other people in this field that I respect a ton and learn a ton from and are great leaders.
That's an actionable, by the way.
Ryan Holiday, James Clear. Sure. I mean, I don't want to like load up my inbox with like 30 different newsletters, right, but there are a couple go-tos that I rotate through each week and have a system for. The Daily Stoic. You can listen to the podcast, but I actually like the text that's sent out via email. I've subscribed to that for years now. James Clear has a 321 newsletter that I absolutely love and super impactful for me. And this is actually where this came from, or an iteration of this. He didn't word it this way, but the gist was that if you feel unqualified, then you should celebrate or recognize that like you're in good company, right? You're striving to do something that has never been done before. You've never done before. And that's like, that's what growth looks like, is like doing things you've never done before, changing. And so
that's what life, like real quick, Dal, that's what life should look like, man. That's what it should look like.
That's what it's about.
You should always be expanding. You should always be trying to do more and get out of your comfort zone. There should always be some aspect of your life where you don't feel adequate, dude.
Totally.
That's the truth. Where you should feel, again, we're trying to weed out the word imposter, but in life in general, dude, there's going to be those times where you feel inadequate. That's the time where it's time to learn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that moment is the time to learn, to gain new skills, gain new understandings, so you don't feel inadequate, right? It's that moment before growth. Is that moment?
Yeah, that's where growth comes from. Yeah. That's the soil. Yeah. Like that it's sprouting from that situation. He used a better question when he sent it over, and it said, "You don't feel qualified." And then the response was, "Nobody does," And it's just like, that's a great reminder. I loved it. And I was writing down some notes to myself. I've got my system of like, okay, here's how I compartmentalize the information as it comes in. And then I try to create actionables around it. And, I put, you can only be qualified to do what you've already accomplished or trained for. So it's like, I'm qualified to teach, right? Like I'm qualified to teach, and I'm qualified to teach certain subjects. Like I did that for a living. So, I mean, I'm qualified to teach math. I'm qualified. I mean, there's a strict process to become qualified in lots of different industries. Like that's what that means, right? Like I'm qualified to do those things because I've done them before. I've been trained specifically for those things. But you think about entrepreneurship, you think about business, you think about going out and trying to do what a lot of you that are listening are trying to accomplish, striving to accomplish, are accomplishing, not just trying, but like are accomplishing. It's like, you've never walked that path before, and that's exciting. And that's something to be proud of. And it's also something that can cause fear and anxiety and syndromes, like imposter syndrome, right? Yeah. But it's just like the flipping that last one, right? You can only be qualified to do what you've already accomplished or trained for. It's understanding that, okay, I've never done this before. This is new. And then coming to like back to focus in truth and reality, which is anything new is accomplished by unqualified people. Yeah. That's literally how it works.
Yep.
And so because you're unqualified, that actually qualifies you to do that work. Mm-hmm. Right. And oh man, you might be more of a scriptorian than me, which if people, like you, I guarantee you scriptures better than I do. And when I was growing up, right. Like I'm a church boy. I had to go. I had to go to church. My mom and dad freaking forced me to go to church. I didn't love it. probably why I'm not a scriptorian, because I didn't read my scriptures. And it was something along the lines of, those who are called are qualified, or like those who are called to the work are qualified, right?
Qualified.
And it's like, I, that's true. It's like, I chose to do this. Thus I am qualified.
Right.
I made a decision. I'm determined. I'm committed. And because I'm determined and I'm committed, now I am qualified to go do this thing that I've never done before.
Exactly.
Right. And so it's just interesting because you think the problem is you're unqualified, and it's actually that's what qualifies you. So it's just so interesting. That's the answer to your question.
Yeah. Yep.
And so again, I think that a couple of the other takeaways again is just, we got to quit using the word imposter. We've got to weed out this desire, this like natural part of us that wants to like prove and show everybody like, this is who I already am.
Right.
And not live in fear in the fact and reality that like, you're not that yet.
Yeah.
But dude, you're working on it every day.
Dude, I want to pause there. Dude. I think a lot of times people have that feeling of being an imposter, or that they're trying to fake something to make something right. I loved how in that moment you said you have to live in reality. You have to realize that maybe you're not quite that person yet, right? And it's so important in that moment. Trey talked about it on his episode that he did with Tyler, is in that moment, you have to have grace for yourself. Realize, you know what? The circumstances aren't what they are right now. And that's the reality of the situation. But also the reality of the situation is that you're in control, and that you're the one that's going to ultimately make whatever out of that situation that you want to make out of it. Absolutely. So it's having that grace. It's having that grace for yourself in those moments where you feel like, I'm not the person for this job. Pause there and say, you are the person for that job. What do I need? Maybe I'm not the person. Maybe I'm not that person for the job right now, but what do I need to do to become the person for that job?
Totally.
And take that next step.
You said something really profound, man. You said something really profound, which is people look to circumstances thinking that that's the identifier, thinking that that's what they should be looking to.
That's what qualifies them.
Right? Yeah. That's where the qualification comes from, is that the circumstance qualifies them. And it's so interesting because this is something that just by chance just happened to be here. And I'm going to read it, which says this is from Viktor Frankl. Those know I'm a fanboy of Viktor Frankl, his work with logotherapy, Man's Search for Meaning. It's one of our core books and one of my core books in my life. And he just says, we all have the capacity to do noble or terrible, or you could even just implement whatever words you want here, great, minimal, whatever things, right? It's our decisions. It's our decisions that determine what side of the equation we end up on there, not the circumstances. And you could reword that and say it's the decisions that qualify us ongoing for the work we've chose and committed to accomplish. It's not the circumstance, whether you have a lot or a little in terms of circumstance, right? Substance. You will create substance. You will create better circumstance through the choices you make, and you will become more and more qualified by just recommitting and redelivering on the proper actions every single day, by making the right choice every day. And so you choose to be qualified. I guess that's a better way to look at this, right? Like you choose to be qualified at doing whatever that new thing is and getting better at it every single day. And then you just put that on reset. But whenever you get stuck thinking that you're not who it is people think you are, maybe you just need to reassess and be like, well, who am I striving to become? And it's like, that's what matters most. And so you don't need to prove yourself. Mindset by Carol Dweck. I've dropped a ton of references today. You can go back and list these things out and go access them. But Mindset by Carol Dweck, that was one of the biggest takeaways that I grabbed when I first read that book back in the day, which was, look, a foundational part of the wrong type of mentality, a fixed mindset, is this innate natural tendency that we have to fight to want to prove oneself over and over and over again, to show everybody who it is you are. When in actuality, you aren't that yet. Right. And that's okay. Right. It doesn't matter. Quit quit trying to do that. Quit putting that loop, that cycle on a bad recycle every single day. Like, your job is to go out and become whatever it is. And you do that, you become qualified to become that person through action. You become qualified every single day, more and more qualified to continue to do that new thing and get better at it every single day. You're not an imposter. You're not an imposter.
No, and another thing to remember there is, as you take action towards whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish or become, that's going to help you build confidence in whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish or become, right?
That's where confidence comes from.
So that's exactly where confidence comes from. And when that confidence starts to be gained, that feeling of inadequacy starts to fade away. So it's so important to take action. That's a huge takeaway here. Is you want to stop feeling like an imposter, stop feeling inadequate, figure out your next step and take that next step, and it'll slowly start to dissipate. Dallas, thank you so much, dude. Is there anything else you want to add here before we wrap up?
I would just end with, man, if you feel unqualified, welcome to the party. Welcome to the party of Jackson, Dallas, and most others at MFM, MFCP, or any other high
achiever, man.
Yep.
Any high achiever feels adequate at some point, because they're always trying to achieve more.
Welcome to the fold. Welcome to the fold. We're just trying to figure it out every single day and recommitting every single day to become more and more qualified with what it is we're striving to accomplish. And so that's what I would end with, is we're glad to have you.
Yes, absolutely. Dallas, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom, my man. So grateful for you and the time that you dedicate to the Growthcast, not only on those daily drips, but to sit down with me and dive deeper into a topic. So thank you, my man. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Love you. Everybody listening, thank you so much for tuning in. Please rate, review. And again, the only thing we ask you to do is share. So share the episode, share the Growthcast with those that can benefit from it. Dal, thanks again, my man. Love you. Have a great rest of your day.
Everybody
listening, appreciate y'all. Take care. Bye-bye.